Hi everybody, it is Wednesday, June the 18th, I believe it is today. 9:30 in the morning as I shoot this. I want to give you a bit of a medical update, and then I want to talk about what's going on in the news. A lot is going on, of course. I'm in my little studio here, but I've got everything close at hand where I can work with the camera and all that. So it's just me in here, and Kiki's right over there. Okay, as you may know, a week ago Sunday, I broke my leg. I broke the smaller bone on the outside of the leg, clean break, and I am, as we sit here, I'm in a boot, which the orthopedist put on my leg last Wednesday, and I'm going to see him again this afternoon at 1:30. And he has told me that if the bone is lined up properly, that we should be good to go. It's he said an 8 to 9 week recovery, no driving or anything. We're going to work, so I'm on a kind of a forced vacation, if you can call it that. Not much of a vacation, of course. If the bones have not lined up properly, then it's going to require surgery. So I'm hoping that that's not the case. I'm hoping we get good news this afternoon, and I'll let you know one way or another what we're looking at. I am wearing as I said, a boot, not a cast. He wanted to try the boot. This thing is like wearing a cement block on your leg. It is so cumbersome. I've only had it off twice. You can't believe how badly I would love to have a shower, but I can't get up over into the tub to take a shower or into our garden tub to take a bath. So I have to do the old basin with towels and all that and take a bath that way, which I'm going to do before I go to the doctor. I'm sure he'll appreciate that. And that's really the only time I've had this cast off. I did take it off yesterday just for about an hour or so. But I'll tell you, going to bed and trying to, how you shift around in bed, it is really a bear with this thing on your foot. But that's just the way it is. So hopefully I'll be sitting home today just with this again, and we'll be on the right path as far as our recovery goes. Broken bones are no fun. I've never broken a bone until this. My record of no broken bones has been broken. And so here we are. So we'll just have to deal with it. So that's the medical update. Now, let's get to what's going on in the news. A lot is going on in the news, of course, but I want to talk about what is, I guess, obviously the banner headline. And that, of course, is this war between Israel and Iran. If you want to put it that way, you could say the United States and Iran. I have noticed in the last few days that there has been a real division that has become apparent among Trump voters, Trump supporters, those who all you've got this big swath of people, all who support Donald Trump, but now this war with Iran is causing a division among Trump supporters, of whom I am one. And these are, by and large, a lot of them are good people, but the line, it seems to me, is apparent that it is drawn between neocons and just conservatives. People who are open to the idea of America getting into the Bush-like wars of the past, and they have no qualms about us doing this. But folks, here we are again, and I am not in that camp. And I'm talking about people who fully support America going to war with Iran, such as Laura Loomer, Mark Levin, Sean the Pawn Hannity, the same usual suspects, Ted Cruz of Texas, and on and on and on it goes. Of course, it's no secret that the majority of American politicians are bought off by AIPAC. They're in the pocket for Israel. So who do you think they're going to side with? there's so many things to address here. There's so many questions. And I'm not a defender of Iran. I understand that, like any nation, Iran is likely a nation, the great former nation of Persia, that has lunatics for leaders, but the Persian people themselves probably do not reflect the political philosophy of their leadership. By and large, that's just my guess. Do they need to be removed? They probably do need to be removed. But the question is, how? Would it not be better if a nation's leadership needs to be removed for the people of said nation to do the job themselves? Why is it that every time there needs to be a leader or leadership toppled somewhere in the world, it is always the United States that has to do it? That's why this video is titled thusly, Are We Morphing into the Third Term of George W. Bush? Because, folks, all we're hearing right now are reruns. It sounds just like the Bush years and the Clinton years to some extent and the Obama years to some extent. But we were told day after day with this barrage of propaganda, that's exactly what it was, that Iraq had WMD, Saddam Hussein was an exporter of terrorism, and we had to topple Saddam Hussein, and we had to go to Iraq and find the WMD, so that's exactly what we did. And guess what we did not find? Where else have we done this? Most recently, we toppled the government of Syria, President Assad, Bashir Assad, who has now found refuge in Russia. President Assad was a man, he was not a Christian leader. However, he protected the Christians in the land of Syria. And of course, that's a good thing. But he's gone. And who has he been replaced with? Someone who is not, who is more hostile toward Christianity in Syria. We hear this in Libya, where we stuck a sword up the butt of their leader and removed him from, thank you, Hillary Clinton, that was her job. Muammar Gaddafi, we removed him. We toppled the government of Libya, and now that country has gone to hell in a handbasket. It's happened over and over and over again. There's example after example after example. We don't like the leadership of a given country, so we take it upon ourselves, that is the United States government, to remove them, to destabilize the country, destabilize the government, and put our own puppet in its place. And now we're seeking to do this in Persia, in Iran, doing the heavy lifting for Israel. Look, if Israel wants to go to war with Iran, I say let them go. Why on earth do we have to be pulled into every single conflict, it seems like, around the world, the United States that is? Why can we not just tend to our own affairs and let other nations work out their differences in whatever the manner they see fit, from negotiation to all-out full-blown war? Why must it involve us? Why does Russia and Ukraine require our involvement? That war would long be over had we not interfered in it and given all of our time and our resources and our treasure and our equipment to this lunatic comedian puppet, Zelensky. This thing would be long over. And here we are in Iran. I mean, it's like a rerun, folks. It's right out of the George W. Bush playbook. George W. Bush, the infamous neoconservative who got on the air and lied to us constantly, he and his evil henchman, Dick Cheney, about what was happening in Iraq. Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11, and every American damn well knows it, folks. If we would, I did a video a long time ago about blowback. If we would simply mind our own business, there would be less of this, of what we call terrorism in this world. We have We are so often our own worst enemy simply because we just go meddling in the affairs of other sovereign nations. So along comes Donald Trump, and he's saying the right things. He's saying that he wants peace in the world, and he's saying that he doesn't want America involved in all of these pointless wars around the world. And this is music to my ears and music to the ears of a lot of people. And I heartily went to the ballot box and pulled the chain for Donald Trump because of him saying things like this, because we are so damn war weary. You realize the majority of our existence, we have been at war in the United States. We don't know any other way. We just got to be at war with somebody. We just can't have a sustained era of peace. We start twiddling our thumbs and saying, my God, there's got to be somebody we can attack. There's got to be somebody. What's going on in the Bahamas? Is there an evildoer in the Bahamas? Maybe we can go down there. We just can't tolerate peace. We can't tolerate another nation conducting their affairs in a way that we disapprove of. Well, that is madness. A sovereign nation has the right to govern itself according to its own convictions. And we may not like it. I may not like how my neighbor lives, but it's none of my business. My own house, my own property, this is my concern. This is where my concerns are. And this should be the attitude of the American government, that we simply tend to our own affairs and leave other nations alone and stay out of their affairs and stop flexing our muscle and using our military to bully our way into these theaters when it does not concern us. As we know, it's easy to say the vast majority of American politicians are bought and paid for by the Israeli lobby. That's why you see us doing the bidding of Israel. And of course, you couple that with the belief of so many Americans that Israel is somehow this chosen nation of God. They are not. And I'm about to do a video that's going to blow that theory to smithereens, because it's simply a lie. If Israel wants to go to war with Iran, let them. It should not involve us. Hell, Israel's got nukes. Why do they need us? Israel's got military weaponry. Why do they need ours? Israel's got soldiers. Why do they need ours? Israel has analysts and experts. Why do they need ours? Why must we be involved in this? I want to share with you something that Donald Trump tweeted October 9th, 2019. About 6 years ago, this is what Donald Trump said. He was in between his presidencies, but here's what he said, and I quote, "The United States has spent $8 trillion fighting and policing in the Middle East. Thousands of our great soldiers have died or been badly wounded. Millions of people have died on the other side. He says this in capital letters, going into the Middle East is the worst decision ever made," unquote. Hey, Mr. President, what happened? What happened? That is verbatim, word for word, what you said less than 6 years ago. Going into the Middle East, you said in capital letters, is the worst decision ever made. Are you now disagreeing with yourself? You know, you never admit you were wrong about anything, but you're wrong somewhere, Mr. President. You were either wrong in 2019 or you're wrong today. So which is it? It can't be both. Now today, by your actions, you're saying going into the Middle East is one of the greatest decisions we could ever make. You are contradicting yourself fully. 180 degrees contradiction here. Going into the Middle East is the worst decision ever made, yet you're doing it. You're doing the very thing that you ostensibly said you would not do when you became president. The voters of Donald Trump, a lot of the voters, not all, not the Laura Loomers of the world, not the Mark Levins of the world, but a lot of us thought now we're going to get a reversal of the Bush-era neoconservative policies of going to war first and asking questions later, of assigning the title of the axis of evil to country A, B, C, and D, and then taking action against them. That's what George W. Bush would do. And now you are doing the same thing, Mr. President. And we believed, a lot of us, that you wouldn't do that. But that's exactly what you've done. Now, Donald Trump, 2 days ago, went after Tucker Carlson. I want to tell you that Tucker Carlson has been on the straight and narrow on this matter. Tucker Carlson has been a fervent defender of Donald Trump and supporter of same, but now that Tucker Carlson is not aboard the invade Iran and support Israel train, now so many people like the aforementioned Loomers and Levins and Hannity's of the world have their long guns out for Tucker Carlson because, you know, he's just anti-American or whatever. He's a lunatic now. Nobody should pay any attention to Tucker Carlson. All of a sudden, everybody who thought Tucker was right now believed that he was wrong. Well, what changed? Because Tucker has been consistent this entire time. Tucker Carlson has had the courage, and from the Trump perspective, the gall to question what we are doing with Israel toward Iran. He thinks it is foolish, it is foolhardy, it is playing with fire, and he is absolutely correct. He has questioned the narratives of Ukraine and Russia. He was absolutely correct to do so. And Donald Trump tweeted this 2 days ago, or he posted this on Truth Social. Somebody please explain to kooky Tucker Carlson that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Okay. Who gets to make that decision? How can it be that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, but Israel can? Why is it that it's okay for Israel to have a nuclear weapon? How many nukes has Iran fired at us? Why can Israel have a nuclear weapon? How do you believe the people of Gaza would feel about this statement? Who are we to determine who has a nuke? Who makes that decision? Kooky Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is not kooky, Mr. President. Tucker Carlson is reasonable. He is even-handed. He is rational. He is asking the right questions. He is a great American for doing so. He is a patriot. And you are wrong to call that into question. Now, I want to share, and also, by the way, if you haven't seen it, Steve Bannon, a Trump ally, has been on with Tucker and vice versa in the last couple of days, so you might want to check that out. I want to share something with you that was stated by Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, and this is very important. And I want to show you what has happened. Also, well, I don't want to take the time to get into what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. But I want you to listen to what Tulsi Gabbard said in a memo on the 26th of March of this year. The 26th of March, 2025, Tulsi Gabbard released this statement to the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, quote, "The United States intelligence community continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003, unquote." That is from Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence. So you might think she'd know what she's talking about. A couple of days ago, a reporter asked Donald Trump about this very thing that Tulsi had said. And you know what Trump said? She's wrong. I believe they do have it. Okay. So you just think she's wrong. Based on what, Mr. President? Based on what some of your neocon observers who don't like what Tulsi Gabbard is saying are telling you? The neocons are still around, folks. They're in the White House. I'm sorry to say that, but they are there. It may not be John Cheesy Mustache Bolton, but they're still there, and they still want this this neocon foreign policy, and the idea of conflict with Iran is appealing to them. Are you not tired of this? Are you not tired of this Bush-era neocon foreign policy? And we thought we were getting something different with Donald Trump, yet here we go again. We just cannot leave other countries alone, and we cannot let these other nations solve their own differences. Why can't a president simply say to the genocidal maniac Benjamin Netanyahu, if you want to go to war with Iran, that's your business, but you're not getting one thin dime from us? Why can't we say that? That's the rational thing to say. Why can't we just say to Netanyahu, your own? Why must we do the bidding of Benjamin Netanyahu? I'll tell you why. It's because we're in his pocket. That's why. It's because our politicians are in the pocketbooks of AIPAC. It's because this country's politicians are by and large on the payroll of the godforsaken nation of Israel. That's why. You hear it in Congress and you hear it from American pulpits all the time. Israel, God's chosen land, they are not. And Benjamin Netanyahu is an evil, genocidal maniac. And if you don't believe me, go to Gaza and tell me what you see. I think it's interesting. I was talking with Maureen about this yesterday. Do you know when I was a kid, every night on the news, you know what you saw with your eyes? What you saw with your eyes. You saw what was going on in Vietnam. Walter Cronkite every night was showing us pictures and giving us narrative of what was happening in Vietnam. You know what you don't see on the news these days in this modern age of 2025 with all the technology we have? You don't see what Ukraine has done to Christians in their country. You don't see what Ukraine has done, what Zelensky has done to the peace-loving people in his own nation. You don't see what Israel is doing to Gaza. You just don't see it. You know why? Because the United States of America government does not want you to see it. They just want you to repuke the narrative you are given to them by the government and their complicit media allies, such as Mark Levin, such as Sean the Pawn Hannity, such as Scott Jennings at CNN. The truth is so elusive, you have to dig for it, and it doesn't seem to matter who's in the White House. You still got to keep digging to get the truth. God, I am so war-weary. What needs to happen right now is Donald Trump needs to ratchet down the rhetoric and the action. Stop answering the phone when Benjamin Netanyahu calls and say, we've had enough. You know, we have so many domestic problems that need our attention. We've got the debt that needs our attention. We've got so many conflicts in our own nation, so much. It's almost overwhelming, the issues we need to tackle domestically without even batting an eye at what's happening internationally. We don't have the resources for this. We are still $36 trillion in debt. We're not doing a damn thing about it. Something's got to give. I'm really sorry to see the incarnation of George W. Bush 3.0, because right now that is apparently what we've got, at least as far as foreign policy goes. The spending continues unabated at levels that would embarrass Lord Obama and Bill Clinton put together. We're not stopping it. Trump proposed an even more obscene budget for the Pentagon, which is just such a place where people go to get a gilded retirement package. It's just a career center. The founders of this nation were not in favor of a standing army. They would be appalled at what's happened with the Pentagon. Pete Hegseth notwithstanding. If you can show me the difference, the current difference between the Trump administration and the George W. Bush administration, I'd be interested in hearing it, because right now I'm not seeing it. But this is where we are. All right, that's enough for today. Comment down below if you would. Like this video, I would appreciate that. And we'll be back soon and talk some more. Thanks for joining me, everybody.